motherfucker.
Nice work. Well done.
This is Tico Tren. I'm going to talk about toxic friendships today. And something I've always found interesting about a lot of toxic friendships is the one underlying cause of like a lot of toxic friendships, kind of like how there's a lot of toxic relationships with women, is typically the one-sided friendship. This typically consists of, people referring to themselves as friends, but only one party actually benefiting from the friendship. What that actually means is basically you're quote-unquote friends, but only one of the parties are actually benefiting from you being friends. And something I've always noticed about that is it's usually mostly always the women benefiting from friendships like that. So it's basically like an extension of a relationship, only it's a friendship and the female's the one benefiting from that friendship. The male really doesn't benefit from the friendship besides the fact that, oh wow, they're friends. But typically what happens is in these relationships, typically the one party basically, takes and never gives in return. Or they give very little to nothing in return. Like a good example would be if you have a friend or a person that calls yourself your friend, they expect you to make them laugh, make them happy, do all this extra shit, jump through a couple extra hoops, and everything along the lines of that. But then in return, you can't really expect very much from them, or they always have a snide comment for you, or they always make up an excuse not to help you, when in fact they always ask you for advice and you're always there for them. Then when push comes to shove and you need them to be there for you, they're typically not. And it's sad. It's very sad when that happens. Because I know a lot of people who think they're in friendships, but it's like one way. It's one-sided like a mofo. So what ends up happening is you end up being unhappy or complacent in that relationship for the fact that you're giving, and you're not understanding why you're not receiving as much as you're giving. Typically, either one or two things got to happen in that relationship. Either you got to sit down with the person that goes, look, this can't happen no more. If you want to be my friend, you got to put in just as much effort as I'm putting in to be your friend. Or you got to cut your losses and get rid of that friendship altogether. Because the sad part about that is you get a lot of people who would just stick around hoping that shit would change and not say anything, or stick around hoping that, stuff would be different when in fact it's never going to be different. It's always going to be the same if you keep on going. And it's typically what I say about, things in life. Nothing can happen to you unless you let it happen to you. That's pretty much the motto that I've always used when it comes to various things and anything. If it's happening to you, it's because you're letting it happen to you. It's because you're not putting your foot down, you're not setting any boundaries, you're not doing anything that you necessarily need to do to avoid any type of headache or any type of, what's the word I'm looking for? Any type of conflict, problem, or, selfishness in the relationship that you're in right now. And when I say relationship, I mean friendship. And the sad part about this can go for relationships as well, too, because there's typically a lot of relationships where one party feels entitled to every damn thing, but they don't feel entitled to reciprocate the actual emotion or the actual feelings to you in return, which is really sad. Because what that lets you know about that person is that person's a very selfish, self-centered person. It happens quite often where people run into selfish, self-centered people, but they never want to fix it or address it because it's like they're almost too embarrassed, or they don't want to lose what they have with that person, when in fact you've already lost. You're giving up everything, and that person's giving you nothing in return. Let it be friendship or relationship. And the sad part about that is, when this happens, you have no one to blame but yourself. It's sad. It's very sad. Because when you have no one to blame but yourself, like I said, you're basically just letting it happen. So you gotta correct that behavior within yourself, and stand up for yourself, and take accountability for yourself, and get out of this toxic relationships or friendships. But I digress.